Why not sit down with your team and talk about what are the important things that we should be measuring? What do we think our work can do in terms of adding benefit or value or outcomes for the client? And equally as important in the value conversation, you have to be asking that question of the client. How are you measured, Mr. Client, on the success of this outcome? What are the things that matter most to you and your team? And maybe it's something else entirely. Hey there, I'm Shannyn Lee, the Managing Director at Win Without Pitching, and I'm back with you today to address another question that I got from one of our followers. The question had to do with putting together a value-based option in our one-page, three-option proposal approach. And the question was around packaging design. How do I create measurements and metrics and create a value-based option around packaging design when we can't tie it to revenue or sales? So let's think beyond the more obvious things that can be measured, like revenue gain or cost reduction, and get really creative about all of the metrics and measurements that can be paid attention to, deemed important. And part of it really has to come from the client, right? Like they have to have a sense of what's important to them. What does success look like? And you as the agency should also have a sense of what KPIs do matter. What do you pay attention to deem something successful in your area of expertise? So if it's packaging design, how do we measure success? Well, I think there's lots of ways. I'm not a packaging design expert, but I'm just turning on my kind of brainstorming, curious mind over here and kind of thinking of anything and everything. Would it be possible that packaging design, an improvement to current packaging design, or a new package design that you create for a product could get you better shelf space at retail? You could do some sort of in-store research or assessment and watch how customers behave when they're walking through the aisle looking at packages. Where do their eyes go? Do they go to the one you created, or do they go to a competitor? Could you do voice of the customer work out there in the world somehow, where you're surveying followers of that brand that you created new packaging for to get their assessment of, did it pop more? Did they like it? Did they buy more as a result, right? More followers on social media. I don't know, whatever the case may be, there has to be a way to measure something in any of the work that you do. And sometimes it takes a team brainstorm. Don't feel like you have to do it all yourself. Why not sit down with your team and talk about what are the important things that we should be measuring? What do we think our work can do in terms of adding benefit or value or outcomes for the client? And equally as important in the value conversation, you have to be asking that question of the client. How are you measured, Mr. Client, on the success of this outcome? What are the things that matter most to you and your team? And maybe it's something else entirely, right? Maybe it is providing their in-house team with packaging guidelines to design the rest of the product line going forward. So it's knowledge transfer and it's measurement of effectiveness on the team, not in store or in retail. There are all sorts of things that matter to clients. And so I think it's about getting curious, brainstorming, relying on your team to come up with some ideas and pushing that client a little harder in those conversations around how they measure success. So food for thought about what do we measure? How do we create these value-based options? Give it a try, report back, let me know how it goes. Feel free to reach out at Shannyn at winwithoutpitching.com, SHANNYN at winwithoutpitching.com, and ask a question, or let me know if you've tried any of these ideas that I'm sharing on YouTube and did they work or not and why. Good to be with you today. Take care, everybody. Cheers.